Good. So I got here Friday, walked the track. It was looking pretty easy, like a hare scramble, but Josh Haaker got out there and added a lot of hard stuff, which was really good. He's so important for the series, so that was good. First, the prologue was good. I think I got, I forgot what I got, but race 1 I got 5th, race 2 I got 7th, I think 6th overall. So it was a good day. It was just the pace on the first lap was just so quick with those good guys, so like the top 5. So I lost track of them a bit, but it was good. The last few laps were good, so pretty happy with it.
We started off the weekend kind of thinking this is going to be pretty easy. Like at the end of everything, how difficult was it, do you think?
For me, it was pretty, I think I might have pushed a couple times just like from a mistake. It was definitely flowy easy, if that makes sense. Like there wasn't anything too bad, but I think for what it was really good. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it.
Okay, what was the biggest challenge for you today?
The pace, first lap. The good guys are just so quick. Through the trees, like the pace is quick, but then there's rocks and roots and logs that you throw in there too that I just make so many mistakes on. So I just figured out that first lap, and then I finished good, so I was happy with that. Cramping again, but I think everyone was. So, but yeah, just keep working at it.
You know what? I'm happy. It was good. I had a really good weekend. We came in on Friday, walked some of the track on pretty much all the track on Saturday, and raced on Sunday. And I'm happy to be here. Kind of last minute plans came together. One of my buddies from Arizona took the bikes out, and honestly, I had a lot of fun today. The course was really fun. It was challenging, but not like too bad. I mean, you could get going fast. I mean, once again, the intensity level was really high because of that. All these guys are going so fast, but dang, what a cool place and very interesting terrain here. It's like flat, and then it just drops off into like this little pocket of Hard Enduro area, which is super cool. So I enjoyed myself all in all. I mean, I think I ended up with another top 10, and with this competition, I'll take it. And you know, I'm kind of in the building stages of my program anyway, so I'm happy and not being too hard on myself, and it was a good weekend.
Right on. Biggest challenge of the weekend for you?
Biggest challenge was once again just that intensity factor. I gotta go home and work on some speed stuff because these guys are fast. I clipped my shoulder on a rock really bad too. There's like a little jump with a seat that had like a ceiling, like a shoulder that like a rock that protruded out, and I jumped and I clipped it and I didn't crash. I stayed on, but I tore my shoulder up pretty bad. So I'm not sure what I got going on there, but it'll go away, I'm sure.
Right on. Coming in this weekend, I didn't talk to you, but I talked to a few other people. The overall opinion of it was like it's a soft enduro. At the end of the day, what did you think of the event as a whole?
Look, I enjoyed it. They started on time. They scored us fairly. You know, whether the course was maybe a little easier than a real hard enduro. Yeah, well, we didn't get rain. If you ran us on that same course with rain, it would have been almost impossible. So, you know, I thought the race was great. They did a great job putting the race on. They had a fun little enduro cross section here for us for the fans, and there was a decent amount of fans, and I think they liked it. So I'm not going to complain.
Weekend was a bit rough, a little more rough than we'd like it. Qualifying went decent, rode pretty tight the first half, and then started feeling a little better the last half. I think I finished 8th in qualifying, so I was okay with that. I was like, all right, it's second row, so we'll have a decent starting position. It's on adjusted time. And then, man, the start of the first big race, I just struggled early and lost my group pretty early and just couldn't get into a flow and really struggled the first half. And man, just had arm pump so bad and it was just full death grip and just trying to hold on and really just trying to breathe and get through it. And then that last half felt a lot better because I was starting to get caught by the third row, and last half started pushing and actually closed up on Max right at the end, but just was hoping we had another lap there because I started just feeling good. So I came a little short there, so I finished 10th there. And then final moto, started second row again. Didn't get best start. It was last of my row, so just kind of we were just playing follow the leader at first, and went up a hill, and a couple guys got stuck on the switchback, and I tried to do this straight line, and man, did I screw it up. I just didn't make it, fell back into a tree, and just pretty much messed around there for about 4 minutes. I got passed by 3 different rows just sitting there, just trying to get unstuck, and got wedged in between trees. I gotta figure out what those trees things are, because we don't have those at Arizona. So, man, just put myself in a big deficit already early. That was not even 5 minutes in, so I had a lot of work to do, and made another big mistake not even maybe 5 minutes later, and was there for probably about 2 minutes. Feels like 10 when you're racing, but it was probably about 2 minutes that I was stuck there. And man, I was already down 6 minutes, I think, to my row at that time, and just kind of put my head down. I spent a lot of energy on those 2 sections, and really just tried to regain my breathing and work on all that, and it took a bit. So first lap was pretty rough, and slowly that second lap got a little better, and honestly my last lap felt the best. Got a little tired there at the end, but still riding wise, legs wise, felt the best that last moto, or that last lap of the moto, but needed another 2 hours of that one. So I've been frustrated there, so not exactly sure how we ended up, but not how we would like. So we got last dog standing in, I believe, 2 weeks, so come back for that, and definitely be a lot better there. For sure. Walking it, they did a good job listening to our opinions. We definitely all kind of walked a lot of it, and it was a little bit easier than we kind of thought it would be, and we saw a lot of sections that they could make better. And yeah, Josh was a huge help to that, and yeah, they made a lot of adjustments. The qualifier wasn't crazy hard, and the first race they ended up adding a couple more hard sections in, so that was good. And then that last race, yeah, it was good. They added in a lot of hard sections, and yeah, so coming in, we weren't sure what we were getting with the hardness of it, but Josh and the whole Hard Enduro crew, they did a good job making adjustments and making it a little more technical and make for better racing.
The hot lap went good. Nice, rode pretty smooth, a little tight, but overall happy with that. I think I ended up 13th in that one. And the next race, I got 12th in that one. I was happy with how I rode though. Felt smooth, was able to really push and charge the whole time. And then the final one, we had a long break before the final, and I feel like I was just very cold going into it. It took a long time to just get moving, and then once I got moving, I just kind of fought my body the whole time. I just had gnarly stomach cramps, and it was just I was trying to make myself throw up just to try and get whatever was in me out, but I just a super bad heat headache, but tried to push through it, and not sure how I ended up, but it was pretty good overall. I'm very impressed, and the hot lap was extremely easy, just single track, but the second race was very fun with some good technical stuff and nice and flowy, and you could really push. And the final was very hard, actually. There was lots of big steps, and even with how crazy dry it is here, it's still, once we got through the moss and the moisture, it was very slippery and very technical, and it was just kind of one obstacle to the next. I was very just myself, honestly. I feel like I was riding good, and I could do everything very up to my standards and hit every line that I wanted to, but I just fought myself being able to push in between, because I had to just rest on some of the straightaways and just try to catch my breath.
When I saw you at the hard stuff they added, you looked pretty drained by that point on the last lap.
Oh yeah.
To take me through that last portion, how were you able to fight through the rest of the race?
I was just fighting, just hoping that by some chance that Cooper was just in front of me, hoping by some chance I could catch up to him at the end. That's what was keeping me pushing forward, but yeah, that was a tough one.
What's next for you?
Back to California, and oh man, I honestly don't know which one's next. Just the next extreme race, wherever that is. I think it should have been Donner, but I'm not sure.
It was good. The hot lap was good. I feel like Shelby and I were really close the whole entire time, and she actually got by me kind of 3/4 of the way through the hot lap, and we were hitting some fast stuff, so I was like, oh, it's okay, it's just the hot lap. And then we got to the endurocross stuff, and she made a mistake, I think on the tires, so I was able to get her back there, and I just passed her there, and we were like within a couple seconds of finishing. So I was like stoked that I was able to grab that win off the bat, because I wasn't sure how this weekend was gonna go, but I just tried not to put too much pressure on myself. And then Moto 2, same thing. I kind of just like hung back and waited for Shelby to make a mistake, and then was able to get by her, and I felt like I rode just really smooth, and we started in like 32nd position, so the trail was like clear of people finally once I got going, which was different than the hot lap. We were constantly like trying to pass people, because we started on row 20, and then Moto 2 we started on row 7, so that was really nice. I felt like I rode really well because I had just a clear line ahead of me, and I was able to stand a lot more and have like just consistency through a lot of the obstacles, and I felt smooth and made minimal mistakes, yeah, I actually kind of just pulled away and finished my race and didn't even know where Shelby was at that point, and got the win, so I was really stoked on that, because she's a tough competitor. She's really good. So yeah, it definitely was an easier hard enduro. The last moto, it was hard for me, but probably not hard enough for the pros. So, you know, like I would want the pros to have their way and get it as hard as possible, but still have the A, C, B riders be challenged, but also not like in anything dangerous too. So, you know, I really think that they tried to cater to everybody, and this is what it was. For Moto 3, I just was pretty tired at that point. My forearms were starting to get pumped up and stuff. So yeah, I just kind of felt tired during Moto 3. But this morning race, I felt good. When I was racing, I honestly was just more nervous before the race than anything. That was the most uncomfortable from the minute I woke up. Yesterday morning, I was a little nervous, and then that kind of went away. And then this morning, I woke up and I was so nervous again. And then going into Moto 2, same thing, so nervous. So that was probably my biggest challenge. But once I get riding, like the nerves finally go away. But beforehand, it's like, oh man, uncomfortable.
Is that a normal pre-race thing for you?
Yeah, it is. I feel like with age, it's gotten worse, not better. Because when I was younger, I didn't think about it so much, and now I just am a little more anxious about it. But like I said, like once I start riding, it's like a relief. It goes away.
It went all right. Definitely a little faster than what we're used to out here at these hard enduros. Showed up and kind of walked the course, and I guess initially didn't really see anything that I thought was going to be super difficult. That was at first, and then we walked over here and saw some cool slicker rocks and, you know, cool ledges and stuff. It's kind of towards the end of the course. And yeah, so, you know, started this morning, started the qualifier over there, and went out and didn't really perform that great in the qualifier. Just, you know, didn't go super fast. You know, I struggle to have that aggression and intensity that a lot of these other guys have. You know, so kind of where it gets harder is where I feel like I make up the most time. So, you know, unfortunately didn't do great in the qualifier, and kind of the same for the race 2, second qualifier. In race 3, luckily I was able to make up some time on some guys, and you know, in these hard sections I was able to get through them and without, you know, really having to stop or push my bike or anything, so I was pretty happy about that. Yeah.
Right on. What was your biggest challenge, whether it was on the bike or off the bike, like physically? Like, what was your biggest challenge you faced this weekend?
Definitely aggression and intensity for sure, which honestly that's kind of every weekend, unfortunately. We've been working on that a lot, riding a lot of motocross, you know, turn tracks, trying to just get used to going faster on my dirt bike. But yeah, no, I mean, out here, just because it was so fast, definitely was the hardest thing, was to push myself and have that aggression and intensity. I think it was definitely one of the easier hard enduros that I've done. Not that it was a bad race or anything like that. You know, not every race is going to be extremely difficult. You know, they're working with what they got out there. We're in Iowa. We're surrounded by cornfields. It's like, what do you expect? You know, but yeah, it was honestly a little bit easier than what I expected it to be, but it was a great race, and it was a ton of fun. And with that all being said, the promoters did a great job out here.
Overall, I'm not too happy about it. I started off pretty good. I won the hot lap, which good boost of confidence heading into the next couple of races. But then the second race had a little bit of a get off the start. And actually, after that, I caught back up to the lead group, and then just didn't make any big mistakes or anything. We just kind of lost sight of them with the dust and just everything. And bike was working good. Everything was working good. I think just a couple little things I need to work on. We'll be back up there for sure. Yeah. So when we started out, like walking the track Friday, Saturday, I was like, man, this is gonna be really easy, which wasn't too happy about. And then I guess they added some pretty gnarly stuff. Josh went through, and it actually ended up being a really good race, really good track. And I ended up getting stuck in some of the hard spots, but it won't be a hard enduro if they didn't have that. So hopefully they add more sections in all the races.
Your personal biggest challenge of the weekend?
Honestly, didn't really have too many problems. I felt like I was riding pretty good. I think maybe just a little off the pace of the top guys at times. Then maybe mentally just wasn't fully there. I felt good, but after a couple little tip overs and crashes, it was kind of hard to recover from. But overall, I think I rode pretty good. When you push hard, it's easy to get upset when you have bad results, but I think we'll be good.
How'd it go?
Yeah, weekend was pretty good. Hot lap was a little bit of a gong show, being back, 100 riders, and Lou and I had a good ride through that one. And then in the main event, I didn't know Lou passed me. I was out there riding my race, and then it came in and she kicked my butt, and I was kind of shocked. I was like, I didn't even know where she passed me at, but she must have been riding really good today, and I'm pumped for her. When you have a good ride in hard enduro, it's always a fun day. So I can't even say I rode bad. I just got beat. She rode so good today. So, but the track was a lot of fun. I got to give it to them here. With the weather being as it was, there's not much you can do when it doesn't rain and it's not wet. So they sent us up everything they could find, and it was a lot of fun. There was some good ledges and good rock sections and some hills. So the track itself I thought was really fun. I had a good day. Their endurocross section was pretty sweet. So yeah, all in all, good weekend. I struggled a little bit with actually it sounds weird, but the really dry dirt was a little bit of a challenge. I feel like it was just washing my front end more than I kept expecting it to. But there was a couple of really tough stuff. They had a couple of hills that I had to kind of push up, but nothing over the top crazy. I know the rev limiter a few weeks ago, when I was walking it, I just couldn't believe I was going to end up riding over some of that stuff. So this weekend seemed a little more mellow than that, but it turned out being a lot more tricky than I expected it to be. Yeah, it was good. It's definitely one that definitely puts a little fire under me. I want to go back home and do a little more extreme riding now, and so I can get a little closer to Lou. She was so fast up there today. So we'll get going and hopefully do a couple more of these. It was a lot of fun. I was bummed I had to choose between the GNCC and this, but ultimately this is kind of what I'm down here for. I'm extreme rider, so it was awesome. Promoters, everyone did a great job. There's a good women's pro purse, so it's kind of hard to say no and not come out to this at the end of the day. So
is this what your plan is doing the rest of the East Coast?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do the rest of the East Coast. There might be some conflicts, just depending on what I have to do up in Canada. But I'm pretty well trying to do all the East Coast extremes that I can do. So, yeah.
Yeah, so 333. Basically, dude, I felt like I rode pretty well, but just had some weird stuff. Got a little penalty for going 5 feet out of the ribbon in the second race. So I lost a position there when I finished actually second. And then the last race, I was riding good, but just had some weird stuff. The loop out into your camera, that was not intentional. Said sorry for that one, but also totally my fault on the loop out. But outside of that, I just had some weird stuff like catching neutral and just doing weird things. But hey, the race turned out really good. We had a good battle. It was super intense. I was just trying to chip away on first and second. So
Even with that little loop out in front of me, you somehow stayed really close. So like,
I didn't stay close. I caught back up. Yeah,
Oh.
I lost like at least a minute. I would assume.
Yeah.
You know, which
Not
I did.
bad.
Which I did a couple times. At the first lap, the same thing. I lost probably a minute in a section that was not a big deal, but I caught neutral and it didn't make it up the thing, and so then I had to like lift it and do a bunch of stuff, and then by the end of the lap I was back on first and second, and then yeah, then I just had weird stuff.
What
little
were you
things.
catching up time?
I don't know. I think I just was hanging out a little bit more than some of the other guys. I think I was uncomfortable, but I was finding comfort in being uncomfortable. So yeah, I like the hard enduro stuff. Like, I mean, it's different. It's challenging. It's different. It's challenging in a different way. I like the competition, and I like that I'm learning. You know, I'm learning new stuff. I know, like, I feel like I'm definitely expected to be, you know, like winning some of these and getting in the mix at least, just from my, you know, past results in endurocross and then whatnot. But I feel like I'm still pretty new at all of it and actually putting effort in. You know, last year I put some effort in, but I broke my hand at the first round that we did at Roar. Sorry, got a heat stroke at the first round of Roar, lost my mind completely, and then the next round I broke my hand, and that was it. So I didn't really have much of a series last year for me to compete in. I didn't really do much hard enduro. And then this year, just been slowly figuring it out and chipping away at it, and so eventually we'll get there and try to get up the leaderboard a little bit more.
Right on. Yesterday, the overall opinion was this was soft enduro.
Yeah.
Now the race is under your belt. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we all had a good time. Like, the racing, there were still mistakes, and it was still challenging, and it had its sections. But even if it's easier, like, and not super gnarly extreme, we're going to push the envelope to find the limit. This doesn't really make a difference. It was hard enough, especially trying to go, you know, at a click higher or pushing that intensity. I didn't wear a heart rate monitor, but if I did, I'm sure it would have been way up there on just pushing it. So I had a good time, and I think everybody else had a good time. So yeah, it's good.
Final question. Your biggest challenge, whether it was on the bike, whether it was looping out into cameraman, like what was your biggest challenge today?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, I think I just trying to be consistent. I had some funny mistakes, and the loop out was a bit over the top, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta minimize the mistakes, and I just had some weird big ones that were a little less characteristic, I felt like, but it is what it is. So
Cool.
Clean those up and move on and get closer to the top step.
Yeah, Iowa. I raced their first race here last year, and it was a bit of a trip. I don't know, first race they did, it was awkward, it was fun, but odd. So round 2, hold on, gnarly back cramp. Okay, so second race they had here, Josh helped them kind of dial in on what the track needed to be. Definitely escalated the difficulty level over last year. Last year it was wet, this year's dry. Made some pretty techie lines very rideable. So it was fun. Hot lap, I didn't have too many gripes. I went back and forth with a teammate, Pat Smodgy. That was fun. We got split on rows. He finished 5th, I finished 6th, so that put me on the 2nd row for Moto 2, and I was feeling pretty good. I tried to keep this weekend fun, light. I think I'm starting to pull out of the funk I was in early in the season. You know, the first 2 races, I wasn't super positive. It was labored. We were in weird, you know, Arizona was weird for me, Texas. That doesn't strike me right. I don't know, I don't strike it right, whatever. But East Coast, felt good here. I had fun. Of course, I could have done better, but there's a lot of competition lined up this year. We got guys from multiple disciplines, all gnarly guys, fast. This race not being the most difficult round of the year, also being dry conditions, made it for a relatively fast. This was the kind of race you could carry speed, keep it moving. and I think everybody was railing. So, in the main event, I was battling with Max, and kind of bouncing off his rear tire and trying to get overly aggressive on some gnarly obstacles. I guess not that they were that gnarly, but I was getting a little over aggressive trying to make something happen and max my heart rate out. I was running like 190 just trying to make something happen, just feed off the pegs, just getting squirrely. And that put me in like a lactic acid hole for about a lap and a half. But once I shook that, on that gnarly line with the big splatter up it, I fell in a hole and it just turned into a wrestling match. I wrestled past Max and took control of whatever place I was in, I think 7th or 8th for that moto. So didn't kill the result, but had fun doing it. And Max and I went back and forth a little bit. He dialed it on and started catching me on the last lap, which made it yet again a race. So I mean, that's fun. That's fun. And, you know, no disrespect to, you know, the Iowa Extreme or the promoters here, but I was a little surprised that we had sanctioned this as a national level event because I knew it didn't stack up technically difficult as the difficulty level didn't stack up to some of the other hard enduros we have. They added more technical features and elements to the track this year, but the weather conditions just made it to where it didn't even compare to last year, where last year it rained during the event, and this soil, when it gets wet, it just so damn slippery. And the hills they do have and the tight cuts up things were littered with roots and the switchbacks and things. I mean, I can remember dog paddling, wrestling just on slight inclines. We're here, we were riding wheelies up stuff and pivoting around things that were just trying to keep the front end down. So had it rained here, this would have been an MFer. Like, it would have been sucky. But with good conditions, it kind of made it just an enjoyable, fast-paced, challenging race. You know, that's my opinion. You know, I think it'd be hard to make this race a lot harder based on the terrain, but I think they do a great job with what they got. And it's an enjoyable technical race.
Yeah, weekend was all right, not ideal. You know, obviously I come to these races to try and win, and I walked a ton of the track with Pat, Smodgy, Saturday, and both of us were kind of like impressed with the area because we're going through soy and cornfields and there's not much out here at all. And then we come to this really cool little valley and a bunch of really neat features. And I mean, I wasn't here last year and the conditions were a lot different, but walking the course, I was pretty unimpressed. I felt like they kind of just ran, looks like they ran last year's course in reverse. So there wasn't a lot of new stuff, and definitely I was kind of bummed walking it. I was like, mentally I wasn't like excited about it, you know? So we did hot laps Sunday morning pretty early, and I finished 4th in that, which I was fine. I wanted to be on the front row. But then kind of looking back at it, it almost could have been a little bit better to be on the second row because then the super fast guys are on the front row and it's corrected time, so I can start a minute behind and you only have a minute to gain. And the top, because I felt like in that second race of the day, which was our basically first moto essentially, was the top five guys, and 3 of us were like battling it out, wasting time with each other, and it kind of played into Tristan's favor because he had a big hang up in his qualifier. So he was kind of just by himself and was able to reel us in and get all of us. And there was, I don't know, I just knew I was in a really bad deficit finishing 4th in that first moto because it's a moto format. Overall scoring, so, you know, Tristan's riding really well, and, you know, Taylor was riding really well in that race, and Colton's been stepping it up here lately, so I just put myself in a really bad position. I basically was in second, tried to get by Taylor, made a little mistake, and then Colton got by me, and there really wasn't anything to separate us, and it was just, we were just all over each other, but I couldn't get through the dust. The course was a little bit tight, and I couldn't get by them. Like, it was my own bad. I just did what I could and finished 4th. So final race, I definitely want to redeem myself, and, you know, luckily we got Josh, our race director, listening to the riders, and he added some sections with the night before the race. It was like Pat, Quinn, and a couple other of us were like, dude, we have to have something out here to challenge us. And it's pros only in that last race. So I felt like the hot lap was really good for amateurs. It was technical, but nothing that was a showstopper. So they can struggle through it. And in the final race, if it was marked as it was without changes, it would have been a soft enduro and not a hard enduro. I was not impressed. And so we got Josh on board with us, and he listened to us, and we made a couple changes, and I think that's the only reason why I won that final moto. I was battling with those guys, and I just was pissed after getting fourth, and didn't want to do that again, and somehow got in the lead, just was in the right place at the right times when they made little mistakes early on in that first lap, and Tristan was all over me. I couldn't drop him, and I was riding, I wouldn't say I was riding tight, I was just riding protective, and couldn't put ground on him because I was just doing silly things, protecting insides. And second lap, there was a new line section we added in, and it was really technical, and I cleaned it pretty much every single lap. And Tristan got hung up there, and Colton was right there for a while. I think he must have made a big mistake as well at some point. But last lap, I had like a weird bike issue, just basically out in the cornfield. Coming from one section to the other, I had a really big roller to flat, and my throttle got stuck wide open, and it was really weird deal. And I basically just, this big gap I put on Tristan, it had a comfortable lead, and I knew I could nail everything to the finish. Wait for this wind to die down for a second. This is gnarly. Let me know when you think it's...
we're good.
Yeah. So, my bike got stuck wide open, and I was like pulled over off the side, dinking, like messing around with my throttle cable, and it seemed like it was snapping back, so I don't know exactly what happened, but after that, I think we were running my bike a little bit lean here, and my bike ran funky. Like, I think I almost burnt the rings up a little bit when my bike was stuck wide open. I couldn't get it to shut off, and I don't know, it never really felt right once I kind of fixed whatever. I don't even know how I fixed it, but it got running again, and Tristan went by, he stopped to make sure I was good, and I'm like, just go. I got my own issues here, and Colton almost got me too, and I got ahead of him, and I was kind of just bumming, to be honest, because I felt like I was really putting that charge on, and I was like, whatever, like I have an excuse if I don't do well, because I had a weird bike issue, and I don't know, so mentally I got past that. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, my bike's still running, I got to keep pushing hard, and Tristan got hung up a little bit in that really technical bit we added, and I cleaned it again the last lap, and I was like, kind of got my motivation back again. We came to this thing, I saw him right there, and I was like, let's go, baby! Like, I yelled something at him. Probably didn't even hear me. I think I said I'm back, or I don't know what I said. And I think we pulled on Colton because we really put the hammer down, and doing everything I could to get by him. Came down a creek. I just held it wide open through a puddle, trying to scare him and get him agitated, and I think it actually worked, because right after that we had to do, it was the very last technical uphill we had to do before it was all grass track to the finish in enduro cross, and I knew I was done if I didn't get him there. And we took different lines and crisscross, and I just got the edge on him going up that hill. So I think I flustered him through the puddle, like splashing wide open, and he took a line he really didn't take all day. So I was really happy to win that final moto, especially with having a little bit of bike issues and somehow rebounding back. But I was angry after that first race and just wanted to prove that, like, it was not where I should have been. And we got second at the end of the day, so not a bad result, because if I had any little more issue, I would have been completely way back in I think 5th place, right? Because fourth place at the end of the day. I would have been pushed off the podium, and no, I'm not. I can't think right now. Yeah, I would have been in 4th place, because we all would have tied if I had finished second, me, Colton, and Taylor, and I would have won. Basically got second at the end of the day because I had the best final moto. So if Colton beat me, I would have been totally screwed and went from second to fourth. So really happy that I fixed whatever issue was with my bike, kept my head cool, and kept charging. Well, it went okay. It was, as I suspected from walking, it was fast, dusty, not quite my cup of tea, but just kind of pushed as hard as I could and did the best I could, and ended up 10th overall. So, you know, in some pretty fast company. So I guess I'll take it. But yeah, just disappointed. I know, like I said, I know I could be up there higher. There was literally like one hard spot on the track, and I aced it every time. And if it wasn't for that, I probably would have gotten like 20th. But that was the only. I kept passing people right there each time, and yeah, I was sick. That part of the track was cool, and the whole track was fun, you know, but just not tough enough in my opinion. And I think that was kind of the talk of the weekend, you know. So. It's unfortunate, but looking forward to getting back to the East Coast where it's slick.
I know it's a weird question to ask after that, but what was your biggest challenge for the weekend, whether it was on the bike, physically, or on the track?
My biggest challenge was trying to keep my intensity up, my race pace. I was struggling with that because typically in a hard enduro, it's not, I mean, you have race pace, but like, sometimes there's tough obstacles out there, and it's like you're not quite in that high intensity as I should have been this weekend. It was more like go the whole time, and I kind of got a stomach ache on lap 2 of the final, and I couldn't push. I was just cruising, and I'd wait till we get to a tricky spot, make my move, and yeah, like I said, that's the only thing that got me 10th this weekend was those couple tricky spots.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much, man.